Take a chance, you never know. What you don't know is beautiful.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. We're going to jump straight into the video how I show you guys how I construct my wig units. First thing first, you're going to need a dome cap. I use this one from Beauty Supply Store. It says it has argan oil inside of the cap. Not sure if that's really true or not, but you can use any normal dome spandex cap or dome mesh cap, but you're definitely going to need this to construct your wig, whichever one of your choice. Secondly, you're going to need your needle and thread. And then this is going to be a key part. You're going to need these T-pins to help hold down your tracks and your closer. And then obviously you can't make a wig without the hair. So I'm going to be using Beauty Forever hair today. This wig is not for me, it's for my sister. But she has 3 bundles of Beauty Forever's Brazilian deep wave. I believe they're all in the bundles length of 14. That's why I'm only showing one bundle. And then she has a 4x4 lace closure in the same length and same texture. So this is going to be the construction of the wig only. I have not customized anything. She needed this wig in a hurry, so this is just going to be strictly a construction video. So I went ahead and changed out my mannequin head. Sometimes I make it on the styrofoam head, but it was just giving me an issue with trying to do the closure, so I'm going to use this one instead. So when it comes to the closures, I do that first. I go ahead and slide the closure and have the hair a little bit over the physical dome cap, and then I take my T-pins to help hold it down. You need the T-pins because if you didn't have the T-pins or anything specifically to hold down the closure, your closure is going to be bulky. That happened to me before, and then after I sewed it down and put it on my head, it was bulky. So look at that, it's nice and flat. So the T-pins are going to be very useful. Now when it comes down to sewing the closure down, you don't want to go through the physical elastic band on the edges of the dome cap. You want to just pick up a little bit of the cap material and go through it. If you sew through the entire dome cap, you're going to pick up the elastic band, and it's going to help with the elastic band not stretching. So you don't want that. So you just want to pick up a little bit of the dome cap and sew through the closure. Now, when it comes to the spacing of the thread, when it comes to the closure, I'll always do them as tight as I possibly can with the, I want to say incisions, but this is not surgery. But I try and sew as tight as I can. But when I do the physical bundles, I can spread the needle out as like far out as I want. But you want the closure to be nice and secure. So as you see now I'm going through the entire cap. I'm not at the elastic band anymore, so you want to sew through the entire cap now. So as far as like the sewing style, you can either do underhand or overhanded. I normally do overhand, but I thought that the underhand would be better when it came to the video, but my hand was in the way, so I flipped it. I will let you guys know that making a wig is a very tedious process. It takes me about like 3 hours just for the construction by itself, maybe like another hour and a half for the customization, depending on what I have to do to the wig. But this is a process. So sit down, get you some food, have on some shows, and you're going to be spending a good 3 to 4 hours of your day doing this. So when it comes to the corner of each closure, this is what I do. I take my needle, then I take the thread and wrap it around 3 times and pull it out just to secure it. So like I said, you want the closure to be secure. So every corner that I get of the closure, I go ahead and do that method. And then when it comes to me with the tracks, I do that method at the end and the beginning of them as well. I edited out a lot because I know you guys just don't want to see me sewing, but I try to leave as much as I can so that way you guys can legit see the process and everything that I'm doing. So here is when I come to the end of the closure. So I'm just going to show you guys, like I said, how I close it out. I'm just going through the cap. I'm not going through the elastic. And then when it comes to the end, I take the needle and thread, wrap it around the needle 3 times, pull it through. Then I'm going to cut the thread, but I'm going to leave a good portion so that way I could go ahead and tie 2 knots with the excess needle. So this is going to help with not having the thread like come through the closure or the wig. The more that you wear it, this is going to help it be secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut the excess off. And this is how we're looking. Everything is nice and laying down, nice and secure, nice and flat. You want this to be how your closures look. You don't want a bulky closure. So here we are with the actual tracks. I just went ahead and pinned down the back of the dome cap just so it's not moving. The front is still pinned down by the closure. Now when you lay down the tracks, you want to start at the bottom tiny and then just go up and spread it out the further that you go. Typically I would use like a white pencil. I would recommend that for a beginner just so you can see what you're doing. But I do this like so much that I kind of like got the gist of like the pattern. So when it comes to the first bundle, when it's sewing, I take my needle and sew actually through the track just for the first one, and then after that I go around the bundle. But I sew through, I take the first thread and sew through the track just so it could be secure. You want the rig to be secure. You don't want the tracks to get loose and fall out and everything. You want the wig to be as secure as you possibly can get it. So I'm sewing around the track, not through the track, as you guys can see. I hope you guys can see that. And then guys, when it comes to switching the tracks, I cut the wefts. I'm not a big fan of the flip over method, but you can do that. You can flip the track over and just sew down the corner piece that you flip so that way it's not bulky. But I just prefer cutting the tracks instead. You're going to get a little bit of shedding in the process, which I don't mind, but I just like that better. I think it helps it be a little bit more seamless and it's easier for me. And then there you guys see that I sewed through the track to help secure and close out that track. And then I'm going to do the same tying process that I showed you guys on the closure. Now I'm just going to go ahead and lay down the second track. This process is going to be very, very repetitive. If you're a beginner and this is your first time doing it, I promise you guys that it's not that hard. Once you start laying down a few tracks, you're going to get the gist of it. It's going to become more and more easy. It's just repetitive. So like I said, get you some shows to have on and just know, have the shows, have something to keep you busy during the time. But I promise you guys, if this is your first time try it, you're going to be fine. I was nervous when I first did it, but I did a wig once like 2 years ago. And after then, I've never paid anybody else to make a wig for me. I do my own wigs, and you'll save a lot of money. You'll save a lot of money from buying a pre-made wig, and you'll save a lot of money from having somebody else make it for you. But if you do sewings, no, that's good for you too. I prefer wigs just so every night I can take off the hair and everything and just be free. But hey. So I'm just going to show the first track and the second track. There's not so much more for me to talk about, so I'll be back after I'm done with the entire first bundle. Okay guys, so this is just the update with the first bundle. This is just the first bundle and it looks like I'm halfway done. I have about 4 fingers with the space coming from the front, but there's obviously a lot more space in the middle. But this is it. I think I only use like 2.5 bundles, probably like 2 bundles and like a quarter of the third. So I'm going to try and explain this the best way that I can. But when it comes to closing out the wig, I take the bundle and I lay it across the dome cap until it meets the other track. Then I cut it, and then I do the same thing on the other side. And then the space that's left in the middle, I just go straight across. So here it is showing you with the actual tracks. I take it all the way up until the closure, cut it once it meets the track below, and then I take the other tracks and just go straight across from the middle of the cap. I feel like I did a horrible job explaining that, but you guys will be able to see better in the video than I can explain it. So the process of me sewing down the track has not changed. It's just the physical pattern that has. Again, I'm gonna try to explain it again. I take the track, lay it across until it meets the bottom track, cut it there, then I repeat it all the way up until I get to the closure. I do the same thing on the other side. Then the excess space that's up in the middle, I go straight across and sew it all the way up until it meets the other closure. So you guys can see the track is kind of hanging over the track that's sewn down below. So I'm going to go ahead and secure those two together. And then tie the thread around the needle to secure it so that track doesn't come on loose. Cut it, and then I'm going to cut the weft. So all the tracks that's going towards the closure should be meeting at the track below. I hope you guys get that. And then I'm doing it at an angle. I'm not laying it straight down. I'm doing it at an angle, since the closure is kind of at an angle and there's excess space. So here we are. I'm taking the last part of the track, connect it to the track that it met below, tie the thread around the needle to secure it, cut that off, and then I'm cutting the track. Now, this is the last one. Once you get to the closure, instead of sewing the track just straight through the dome cap, you want to take the needle and sew it and connect it to the closure, if that makes sense. So you guys see, I'm not taking the needle and throwing it through the cap, sewing it through the cap like I normally would. I'm sewing it through the edges of the closure to secure it, and so that there's no black space. There's no part of the cap showing. So here we are again. The two tracks have met, so I'm going to take my needle, sew the two tracks together, take the thread, wrap it 3 times around the needle, pull it out, cut the excess thread off, and then tie a knot so that way it's secured, and then cut that off again. Okay? So I hope you guys see what I'm doing. Then I did the other side as well. It's the same process. So here, this is the extra space that I'm talking about. So now I'm just taking each track and sewing up all the way until I get to the closure. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So the track and the closure together. This was a really bad angle. I thought that you guys were able to really see, but my hands is in the way. This entire process of me trying to record this was very, very hard. I'm not used to recording while I'm making my wigs. I'm just used to going. So I hope you guys can see what I'm doing and get the gist of everything. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the comments, and I'll be able to explain them as much as I can and answer your questions. But like I was saying, making the wig is fairly easy. The trickiest part for me is probably sewing down the closure. But once you get the closure done, it's just like a moving train. So if you are a beginner, I will say that this is not the only way you can close out the wig. There are a whole bunch of different methods, a whole bunch of different processes. People make their wigs differently. So what I would suggest is, once you decide to do it, to watch some videos, look at everybody's style and way of doing it, and figure out which one works for you. You can implement all different types of styles as you make the wig. And then the more that you continue to make a wig, it'll become easier, and then you'll eventually find your own way and your own method. There's no rules in the book of how to make a wig. There's no pen dried up on a piece of paper. It's find your own way, find your own style. As long as it look good in the end, that's all that matters. So once you get done sewing everything together, you definitely want to go ahead and cut off the excess dome cap. I forgot to record it, so I came on late. But you want to cut the cap as close as you possibly can to the thread. You want to be careful and make sure that you don't cut the actual thread, because you don't want the wig to fall apart. So this is the finished look. Again, I have not customized everything. This is just me constructing the wig. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into my channel. If you guys came across this because you were trying to get some information about making a wig, I hope I was a little bit helpful for you guys. But thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.
Take a chance, you never know. What you don't know is beautiful.